Ladies and jellyfish, welcome back to the Pesto Pod. What have you done? It's the Pesto Pod, and you've been on the run, oh mama. I'm mentally ill, but now we're so back. We are so back, 'cause I am on Prozac. We're so back 'cause I am on Prozac. We're so back 'cause I am on Prozac. On Prozac. I wish I could say that I just came up with that, but I didn't. I thought of that last night when I was laying in bed after watching Wooden Soup ASMR.
It's the Pesto Pod, the Pesto Pod, the Pesto Pod.
Guys, welcome back to the Pesto Pod. I have not done an episode of the Pesto Pod in months, for a plethora of reasons, of which I will get into. First and foremost, hold on to your clitorises, your clitori, if you will. I want to set the stage. I'm entering a new era in pestistory. Throughout my hiatus from the Pesto Pod, I've obviously still been posting on TikTok, as you know. And a comment that I get quite a bit, or like along the lines of, is if you were a teacher, I would have listened in school. And I love this because I always wish I was a teacher. I think I'd be a great teacher. I've always said, like, if I'm like 50 years old and I'm unfulfilled, I'm just going to go back to school and become a teacher. I just feel like it'd be fun. I don't know what subject I would teach. Maybe history, because I'm kind of a history nerd and I like maps. But also, I don't think there are a lot of classrooms in the world where they'd let me say fuck and cunt. So I might be shit out of luck there. Maybe in the South. Anyway, I've always wanted to be a teacher, and I kind of like that idea of, like, just fucking yapping. I love yapping, and I love when people listen to me. And I want to educate the masses. So I'm kind of going to be taking this persona of Professor Pesto. And I'm entering a new Pesto Pod roddery of like 101 classes in session, like sit down, shut the fuck up, Professor Pesto energy. I don't know if that makes any sense, but classes in session. That's the bottom line. Also, I'm gonna be vulnerable for a minute. I wasn't vibing with the OG format that I started the Pesto Pod in. I think I've talked about this a little bit, but I used to, if you've seen any of the former episodes, which if you have, that means you're an OG fan. Peace and love. Thank you. You're helping me pay my New York City rent. I had guests on the podcast, and I just wasn't vibing. I was like doing this thing where I'd have a guest on and we'd talk about like weird niche hyperfixations that we have. Because like I know so much about like the sinking of the Titanic, as we know. I can tell you minute by minute what went down on April 14th, 1912. I love like maps and geography. I know all 197 countries. A tinge of autism. And I can say that because that is exactly what my doctor said to me when I brought this up to her. She said, sounds like a tinge of autism. So, I don't know. But I was having guests on the podcast, and I would like, you know, say like, I want to pick like a really, really like niche topic to talk about and like dive into. And then I'd have these guests on that would be like, let's make our topic what to wear on a first date. I'm like, girl, I'm out here. I'm trying to talk about the kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby. We are not the same. It's just not my thing. And I was like, oh, maybe not everyone has weird niche hyperfixations. And I don't know. I also don't think I'm very good at guests. When you think about it, all my TikToks are me just fucking yapping. I never have anyone else in the TikToks. And like, I think it takes a really amazing talent to be able to be funny with anybody. And I don't think I have that. Not yet anyway. I'd love to develop it. I'm thinking of taking an improv class. That's neither here nor there. Like, okay, for example, I watch a lot of Caleb Heron. Caleb Heron has a different guest on the podcast every week, and he's so funny. And like, there's no shot he knows all of those people before they sit down to record a podcast. I'm sure for a lot of the time, that's his first time meeting that person. And he's always so funny. He's always able to make banter. And that is a talent that I think is so amazing. And I just don't know if I have it. Every time I would like rewatch an episode of the pod with a guest, there'd be funny moments, but I just like wasn't feeling like I was very confident. I don't know. What the fuck? So I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna try to do a solo podcast. And I was hesitant to do it for a while because I watched so much of the Broski Report and I was scared it was just gonna turn into the Broski Report. But I was like, you know what? Brittany loves yapping. I love yapping. So I'm gonna give it a good old shot-a-rooski. And I don't know if you recall, but I recorded a podcast episode in, I want to say April. That was just me, and I talked about big fucking whoop, the sinking of the Titanic. Who would have guessed? Talked about that, and I did, like, I don't think it was perfect. I don't know if it was like exactly what I was looking for, but felt so much more comfortable and much more confident just by myself. What does that say about me? I need like a psychoanalyst to get in here. So that was like, that was the speed I was going for. I was like, okay, I'm really vibing with this. I'm going to start doing solo episodes. So what the fuck happened? Where have I been? I've been on hiatus. Let me fucking tell you why. It all started 7 years ago. It started because in April of this year, I was put on a medication called Topamax. I was prescribed this by a psychiatrist for binge eating disorder. It is not like, it's not like Ozempic. It is more so just like an appetite suppressant. It's not a weight loss drug. It's actually not even meant to be used for that at all. It's supposed to treat seizures, which I don't have. And one of the side effects is just like reduced appetite. So she told me to try this. I tried it for a long time. I was really enjoying it. I thought it was working. I thought I was binging a lot less. Peace and love. Life's all tulips and buttercups and roses and butterflies, right? No, Diane. Because after a little bit, I started to get really, really bad acid reflux. And I asked my psychiatrist right when it started, I was like, does this have anything to do with Topamax? And she's like, I've never heard of acid reflux happening because of Topamax. And I looked up online. Nothing. Okay. It got so fucking bad. So fucking bad. I don't know if y'all have heard of Brat Summer, but have you heard of the Brat Diet, ladles and jellyfish? I don't know. It stands for bananas, rice, apples, and toast. Some of the most blandest beige foods in the world because it's supposed to be like the easiest food to digest. That's literally all I was eating. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because every single time I ate something, sorry, T-dubs, this is a little graphic, I'd burp it up. It was so painful. Every single time I ate something, it was just like stuck in my throat and I'd burp it up. I could not eat. I was so sick of eating fucking bananas. I was like yearning for some flavor. I was like, please, someone give me a fucking aioli to put on this right now. I was dying. And it was horrible. It was so horrible. I lost 18 pounds over the course of a month and a half. I went to so many doctors and they just kept prescribing me acid reducers and it wasn't even touching it. And so, yeah, I stopped doing the podcast. I was miserable. It is really hard, newsflash, really hard to be like creative and funny and like chipper when your fucking body is kaput. I was really struggling. And so I literally like laid in bed. I went home to my hometown of Rochester, New York, 585, represent. And I was just rotting because it was like so terrible and I was so miserable. I looked disgusting. I looked sullen. I looked like Jack Skellington. Fucked a paper bag. That's what I looked like. And I was just like, I had brain fog. I was lethargic because I wasn't fucking getting any nutrients. I was eating bananas and toast. Bananas and toast. That does not a meal make. So I was #struggling. And, yeah, I looked like Prince Philip. So finally I met this one doctor who was so awesome. And she like really listened to me and like was like, let's get to the bottom of this. And she was a woman. Coincidence? Probably not. And she got me in for an urgent endoscopy. An endoscopy, if you don't know, We are now starting school. This is science class, ladies and gents. Science class. An endoscopy is when they drug you up and shove a camera down your gullet without even taking you out to dinner first. Rude. So they did that. And a little bit about an endoscopy. The drugs that they give you are the most glorious concoction that Big Pharma has ever pooped out of its butthole. It is such a delightful REM sleep. They injected me with the drugs and they were like, you're going to taste metal in your mouth and then you're going to want to go to sleep and just like follow that urge. Holy shit. I've never been so well rested in my life. And then when I was coming out of the drugs, this is also really funny. I have like a tote bag that I carry around. It has my wallet in it, my health insurance card, my IDs, everything you might need for a medical procedure. And did I grab that tote bag? No, Mary Lou, why would I do that? I accidentally grabbed a different tote bag, the bag that I had just recently taken to the beach, and it was filled with nothing but seashells. Seashells. So yeah, like after the procedure, I'm all drugged up. I tried to give the doctor a seashell as a token of my gratitude, of course. And she wouldn't accept it, which is rude. She's like, hey girl, sorry, we only take HSA checks, not fucking calico scallops. Ugh. Big Pharma. So I got the endoscopy. The result of the endoscopy, listen to this science, was that I had an issue with the peristalsis of my esophagus. And not reflux at all. Peristalsis is the process in which your muscles in certain organs involuntarily move to perform their functions. Such as your intestines. They contract to push the shit through your body and out of your bungholio. Your ureters contract to push the pee-pee into your bladder. For my ladies, your uterus contracts to shed its lining and all that juicy goodness when you get your period. Your esophagus is no different. It contracts when you swallow food. It like contracts to push the food into your stomach. That wasn't happening for me. So it wasn't that I was having reflux. It wasn't that it was getting to my stomach and then coming back up. It wasn't even going down. I would swallow food and it would just get stuck like a fucking fat kid on a tube slide in a playground. It was so painful. And then it would just kind of stay there until I burped it up. So what? Then they booked me for a barium swallow, which is another procedure where you drink barium, which, by the way, tastes like chalk and vanilla and also cum, weirdly. And you drink that concoction because it shows up on an x-ray, and then they can see you swallowing, like, internally. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on and I'm getting these procedures, I once again, I'm like asking my psychiatrist, like, this has nothing to do with Topamax. And she's like, there are no digestive side effects from Topamax. Okay, slay, period. I turn to the almighty omniscience that is Reddit, and I search like Topamax acid reflux. Not much comes up, but there are a few, like 3 or 4 articles, or not articles, threads on Reddit. I'm Gen Z, don't forget. Threads, where people have been taking Topamax and they're like, do you have really bad acid reflux from this drug? And then like you take acid reducers and it doesn't even touch it. And I was like, yes, that's me. Bazinga. So, obviously it's not a common side effect at all. I don't even know if you would call it a side effect. I think it's just like a very weird reaction that can happen. And I was like, let me humor myself and I'm going to wean myself off the Topamax to see if this is it. Every day that I wasn't taking Topamax, I was a little bit better. I could eat more food. It was crazy. It was so crazy. And I was so relieved because I thought I was going to be like this forever. I was like, oh, great. I'm going to be one of these bitches who's chronically ill and struggling all of the time to function. And then I'm going to have to go to Sweden and book one of those fucking, I was going to say assisted suicide. Can I say that? I was so miserable. You don't understand. You don't understand, Darlene. I was so miserable. It was so hard to function with no food in your body. It was horrible. Anyway, I stopped taking the Topamax. I was feeling so much better. And I guess let this be a lesson. If you're on Topamax, please don't stop taking it if it's working for you. And don't be scared to take it. I'm just letting you know, like, just because something isn't listed as a side effect, you don't know how your body's going to react to a medication. And just I don't know. Keep trying those combos until you find something that tickles your peach. So now I'm feeling so much better, and I'm like, yes, slay. I'm ready to start the podcast back up. Well, timing's a bitch, ain't it? Timing's a bitch. I should have known better. Something's happening online with JoJo Siwa right now. There's like some sort of scandal. Isn't there always? Anyway, timing's a bitch because at this point I'm feeling better. It's the month of June, which is the month that my sister got married. My sister got married. I was the maid of honor. No big deal. The maid of honor. The MOH. The Mo. Perhaps you've heard of it. And it was so exciting. I was extremely involved in my sister's wedding planning process. Because I don't know if you know this about me. I'm so fucking good at making signs. I'm so fucking good at making signs. Like the signs at Trader Joe's. That's a dream come true. It would be euphoric to have that job. I've asked them before, what do I got to do to become a sign artist, a sardist, if you will, at Trader Joe's? And it's actually so hard. They said you have to have a portfolio and then you have to apply. And then if you get in, you have to go to like school, like a training school, Trader Joe's University to be a sign artist at Trader Joe's. But if I am 50 years old and unfulfilled, I'm either going to be a teacher or a Trader Joe's sign artist. Mark my words. Put that in your manifestation pipe and smoke it. So because I love doing that, I was like DIY Sally, queen of this wedding. I made the like welcome to our wedding sign. I made the seating chart. I made the sign for the rehearsal dinner. Ate that shit up. Popped my puss. And then I was just so involved. I did everything with my I love it. I was brought up on the cultural phenomenon that is TLC's 4 Weddings. A crumb of television excellence, one might say. And I love it. I love weddings. I really do. I went to like every florist meeting. I helped Capri's my sister's name. They named my sister Capri, something really exotic. And then they named me Julia. So that's really interesting. I went to every florist appointment with Capri, helped her pick the colors. I went to every one of her dress fittings. It was crazy. I went to everything. I tried the food with her, like for the catering. Free meal, delicious. She settled on chicken francaise. I think that might just be an upstate New York thing, or at least like an East Coast thing. Not everyone has chicken French. Shit's delicious. White wine, garlic, butter. Fuck. Yeah, I did everything. And then like the week leading up to the wedding was obviously crazy because it was just like a ton of going to the venue and I don't know, like coordinating with the day of people and it was just so like dropping stuff off. It was so much. So I went home for my sister's wedding and I went home for like 3 weeks. It was crazy because it was just so much work. And the wedding was awesome. Here's a little tangent. Something about my family is that we are the party house. We are hosting always. We host every holiday. We have like the neighbors over every Friday. We have like football parties. There are multiple spaces in my home for any sort of like social gathering you can ever imagine. My father, Jeff, y'all know Jeff. Jeffrey has transformed our basement into an Irish pub. He has a TikTok, by the way, more Jeff, please. And I've told him that he needs to do a tour of the pub. He will. Fucking our garage has like a bunch of seating and like kegs and ashtrays, and that's where the gents go and smoke the cigars. And our backyard, my dad built like a pergola and a fire pit. He built a outdoor kitchen from the ground up. We don't fuck around when it comes to neighborhood shindigs. We don't fuck around. So when it came to this wedding, it was literally a week-long celebration, all hosted by the Leahy family. My brother-in-law, Kevin, his parents came in on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Of course, when they come in, we have them over for dinner. We cook this extravagant meal. We have a bonfire, what have you. Thursday is when all the out-of-town guests start coming in. So we have another bonfire to like welcome everyone to town. Friday was the rehearsal dinner. So we had to like actually go to the church and rehearse, which Catholic weddings can get shafted up the butt. Catholic weddings are so fucking boring and stupid and poopy. I'm sorry. I'll say it. So boring. But we did that little rehearsey and then we went to the rehearsal dinner, which my family or whatever, they rented out a like a private room in a brewery in our town. So that was so fun. My at the rehearsal dinner, my grandma met one of my cousin's girlfriends and was like, "What's your name again? Esperanza?" Her name was Celeste. Her name's Celeste. That's crazy. Rehearsal dinner was so fun, and then afterwards, like Capri and I went to the hotel where all of like the out of town family was staying, and we went and we drank even more. And then we slept at the hotel because we had like our last little sister sleepover. And then we wake up at like 6 fucking a.m. to start getting ready for this wedding. Insane. Here's where it all takes a turn. So we're getting ready, right? Hair and makeup. I'm like feeling frisky. I'm like, let's do an updo, Nicole. I'm feeling fucking crazy. And she's shoving bobby pins into my epidermis. And I had like an overnight bag because I slept at the hotel. And we were taking like a limo bus to the church. I didn't want to worry about like taking my overnight bag like here and there to the church, to the pictures, to this. So I just go ahead and I go in the parking lot. I stick it in my mom's car. And then we're getting ready. Life is jolly. And at some point when we were getting ready, my father came to the hotel and took my mom's car, picked it up with someone and brought it to the church so that my mom would have a way of getting from the church to the rehearsal dinner. So basically my overnight bag is gone, and there were quite a few essential items in there that I needed for the festivities. For example, all of my skincare that I needed before putting on makeup, I put in the overnight bag and put in my mom's car because I'm a fucking dunce doofus. What else did I leave? Oh, my earrings for the wedding. My fucking earrings. And then I realized that in my overnight bag, I left my fucking shapewear! My fucking shapewear! That is so important to me. I am a hefty girl. I'm a matronly maiden with binge eating disorder. This shapewear is so important for me. So important. And I didn't have any other underwear. It was my only underwear I was planning on wearing. So I'm commando in this fucking bridesmaid's dress right now with my fupa out because I forgot my fucking shapewear. Dumb. So I naturally started to cry because I'm an idiot. And I'm crying and I'm saying to my mom, like, oh my God, I left my fucking shapewear in the bag. I'm going to look so fat in these fucking pictures. I'm having like a panic attack because that's something I care about a lot. My fat rolls. I'm freaking out. And then I didn't realize I'm obviously being such a fucking asshole because my sister is getting married today and I'm crying. That sucks. That's not very MOH of me. So my poor sister's so stressed out. We get ready. We go to the church. And then I'm like, oh my God, what's the matter with me? Like, I was supposed to be completely there for her and just completely selfless today. And then I was crying because I fucking left my shapewear in my bag. I'm such a fucking poopy caca idiot. I was so mad at myself. And then I was like, oh my God, I wonder if she hates me. My own sister. This is how my brain works when I'm sleep deprived. I was like, I wonder if she hates me. I'm so embarrassed and I'm so self-loathing Susan today. And the whole time when we're like after the ceremony, like taking pictures and stuff, I'm dabbing my eyes because I'm crying because I feel so bad. And I'm like talking to my mom, like, oh my God, I hope Capri is not like sad she picked me as her maid of honor. My mom's like, oh, she's fine. Like, she looks beautiful. You look beautiful. And then I was like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? My mom's kid is getting married and I'm making it about me. That's so annoying. I was so mad at myself. It was a rough little moment there. But then we go and we take pictures. I'm so stressed. I'm nervous that Capri's mad at me, and I'm just so mad at myself that I forgot the shapewear. I'm mad at myself that I like feel like I ruined the day. We get to the reception space. It was so beautiful. Guys, let's be sentimental for a second. It was gorgeous, and it was just like a culmination of all the hard work that Capri had done for this wedding. It was beautiful. The flowers were amazing. The venue, I'll plug it. It's called the High Line. It's in Rochester, New York. Look it up. It's so pretty, and the people there are fucking fantastic. And it used to be a car dealership, so it's like this big open space, but it's like it's all white, and there's like these high beams, and they put like greenery around the beams. There's this patio with like, you know, fairy lights. It was so pretty. The flowers look so good. Like everything just looked so good. My signs obviously ate. They ate down boots. It was just so perfect. And my sister starts tearing up because it looked so good. And I was like, okay, it's fine. It ain't that serious. I'm the problem. I always knew I was the problem. And then after that, I was able to kind of relax. I was like, this day is so perfect. It's so okay. Life is so good right now. And we had such a fun time. The reception was so awesome. There was a cigar bar. How fun is that? Yeah, it was so great. The food was so good. My family was normal, which is crazy. And it was awesome. It was awesome. After the reception, we went to another bar, kept the party going. I was like, I need to go to sleep right fucking now. Then I guess in the festivities, in the drinking, my parents had told like all the out of town people and stuff, like, make sure you stop by tomorrow before you leave. Tomorrow, the day after their kid's wedding. So it's fucking like first thing in the morning on Sunday, I'm sleeping off the like 8 gin rickies that I had. And my mom's like, we have to clean the whole fucking house. I told all these people to come over. And I'm like, bruh, what are we doing right now, brother? Okay, sorry. I fucked up the audio for a second there. Yeah, so it's 11 a.m. My mom's like frantically cleaning. My dad's frantically cooking. And then Kevin, my brother-in-law, his whole family like pulls up at like 11 a.m. And because my mom had invited them over. And we don't know them. And I became the hostess with the mostest. I was like, okay, this is where all my years of watching my parents have people over is coming to a head. I literally was like, hey guys, come on in, let me give you the tour. And I showed them around the house. I took them to the pub. And it was so funny because Kevin has a lot of Dominican family from La República Dominicana. And like some of them don't even speak a lot of English. I'm like miming, showing them around the pub. And then they fucking loved me. Of course. They loved me. And I loved them. They were like, Julia, you have to come visit our house in the Dominican sometime. We have flamingos. I'm like, twist my fucking arm, Ricardo. I'll be there. It was so fun. And then people just kept coming. And it was a whole nother wedding, basically. It was insane. We had so many fucking people at our house. And no one, like everyone left our house probably at like 8 or 9 p.m. It was crazy. And then afterwards, like everyone left, and it's like me and my parents and Capri and Kevin were sitting there. We're like, what the fuck just happened? My social battery is so depleted. I'm so done with every human being that's ever existed. So I stayed for the rest of the week to kind of like decompress and do nothing and rot. And yeah, that's where I was like the whole month of June pretty much. And then came back to New York City and was like, okay, let's do this. We're so ready to go. Then I went back to Rochester for another wedding. Then I went back to New York City. Then I went to Alaska. Very spontaneously. I could literally like do a whole episode on Alaska, so I guess I won't really go into it like crazy, but I went to Alaska. It was so fucking cool. I loved it. Love Alaska. It is the best state that's ever been. There's never been a state that's more gooder. I like that it's in the country, but also not. So yeah, went to Alaska, came back to New York City, went back to Rochester to go to the Adirondacks on our annual family camping trip because I'm just a wilderness crunchy granola girl lately, I guess. And then after that, I came back to New York City and I was like, okay, time to lock the fuck in. I want to do my podcast. I want to get a podcast going that I know and love. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to get a part-time job, because something that I struggled with when I was doing the podcast, like all this time, is that I never really leave my apartment and I don't have a lot of social interaction with others, which is depressing, but that's what it is. I was like, I need a job a few days a week that gets me out of my apartment, gets me talking to people, and is like almost a little bit mindless and not like creative, so that I can like be in a good place if I do this podcast. So I get a hostessing job at a local restaurant right near my apartment. And it was so fun. The restaurant industry is something that everyone needs to do once to understand how humans work. Because let me tell you something, Geraldine, let me tell you something. Every single problem that I encountered in the restaurant industry was committed by someone over the age of 65. The geriatrics are causing the problems. It was so crazy. So I was a hostess, right? I'm just standing at the front. People would come in and be like, it's really loud in here. Yeah, this is a public restaurant. What do you want me to do? It is always old people coming into the hostess stand. It's really hot outside. Let me just fucking unplug the sun, Susan. Are you serious? It was exhausting, but it was a great, it was a great time. I loved it, honestly. I ate it up. I loved everyone that I worked with. Everyone was so nice. They all took me under their wing and were just so friendly, and I was really vibing. But I did, the problem was that I did tell them when I started, I would really love a 2 to 3 time a week job, very much part-time, because I'm trying to do this thing on the internet and be successful and stand up and whatever. And they were like, yeah, girl, of course. Girl, I was scheduled 5 days a week. 5 days a week. I was like, oh, this isn't what I said I wanted to do. And they were like, but we just love you. And I was like, okay. But then it was I was like, no, if I want to really try to make it and stand up and do this podcast and commit myself to it, I can't do this job, which sucked, because I really liked it and I had nothing but positive experiences there. But I left on very good terms, and I told them, I was like, if anyone needs a shift covered, give me a call. I'll come back. I just can't devote as much time as it also sucks for them. This is a restaurant. They can't have someone who's constantly calling out and shit, and they need someone who can fucking get their shit together, and I clearly don't have my shit together. But yeah, so for a month there, I was working my ass off at this restaurant. And then I quit the job at the restaurant, and I was like, okay, it's time to get the podcast started. Here we go. And then I went to Greece. Sorry. Greece, the country. Didn't really know much about Greece that wasn't in the 2008 musical comedy Mamma Mia. But loved it. Loved it. I went with my cousin. She was going for a wedding, and she was like, do you want to come to Greece with me? And I was like, I just quit my job. Of course I'll go to Greece with you. So I went, and I loved it. We did a lot. We went to Santorini and Crete, stayed in Heraklion, did so much. Yeah, Greece was not what I was expecting. I didn't really know much about it. I guess I forgot it's very close to Africa. So it's a desert, kind of. I was really picturing this very tropical, lush. I was like, islands, so palm trees. No, it's sand and dust and olive trees for sure, but very dry. And that was actually really cool, because we were able to do this. We were doing this off-roading thing, where we were on a tour and we were in the middle of the desert, and there were fucking goats running around, and I was like, this is crazy. Also on that tour, that was really cool. We stopped at this woman's farm to eat, and she cooked for us, and she told us that everything we were eating had been alive that morning. So it was like the freshest pork, sustainable. I'm so into that. I could talk for a whole episode about sustainable farming. I'll do it. Don't fucking think I won't, because I will. So, yeah, ate delicious food. Fucking love the food over there. Baba ganoush. Shove it right up my punani. And, I just got back on Friday. And now here I am making the podcast. So that's where I've been. To sum it all up, I've been fucking around. But I'm ready to start a new Pesto Pod vibe. Welcome to school, Professor Pesto checking in. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the return. Please go follow me on Instagram, Julia Leahy _ I'm pretty sure, because I should probably know that. Because I think I'm going to post on my Instagram story like Q&A things and polls and stuff and stuff so that you guys can be involved about what I talk about on the pod. And I'm just going to yap, and I hope you love to listen. And feel free to DM me if you have any ideas or questions or suggestions, please. I love it. I read pretty much everything. And yeah. You guys have seen the rebirth of the Pesto Pod. Thank you so much for tuning in to this revamp. And I love ya. And I'll see you soon. Class is dismissed.